Hi everyone, once again welcome to Fans of Maths. आज Fans of Maths में हमारे पास टॉपिक है types of functions with their graphs. Number one, identity function. A function where the output is the same as the input is called an identity function. बेटा ये वो function है जिसमें input the value of x pre-image is equal to output. The value of function means image. So pre-image is equal to image. This is called identity function. In other words, a function I for identity function from x to x, whose domain and codomain both are equal. It means domain and codomain is a same set defined by the equation I of x is equal to x. I for identity function, I of x is equal to x. For all x belongs to the domain of function, this is called identity function. It means आप इसको ऐसे भी लिख सकते हैं I of x, it means it is y is equal to x. If the y is equal to x, this is called identity function. The graph of identity function bisect first and third quadrant. बेटा अब देखो ये first and third quadrant in the Cartesian coordinate plane. In xy plane there is a first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant and fourth quadrant. So first and third quadrant को bisect करे, the line which bisects first and third quadrant. So this is the graph of the identity function. It means there is y which is equal to x, or you can say f of x is equal to x, or I in place of f you can say I of x is equal to x. This is called the identity function. Now let's see the MCQ. If the domain of identity function defined by f of x is equal to x, whereas x belongs to the domain of function and the set of domain of function whose elements 1, 2, 3, then its range will be, बेटा अब ये range क्या होगी? A set elements 1, 4, 9, B option elements -1, -2, -3, C set elements 1, 2, 3, and no one option means none of these. So now we have, बेटा देखो यहाँ domain, यहाँ लिखा है domain means the value of x, the x set which is equal to x set. तो जो domain है वो ही codomain हो, वो ही range हो, तो उसको हम कहते हैं identity function. So domain is the set having element 1, 2, 3. Again C option the elements 1, 2, 3. It means this is the range of the identity function. Now you can see here y which is equal to f of x which is equal to x. Now y is equal to f, in place of x the value of x is 1 which is x is 1. So y की value भी 1 होगी. Again y is equal to f of the value of x is 2 and in place of x you put 2. Y is equal to f. Now x the value of x pre-image is 3 and the image is also 3. It means range जो हो गई वो 1, 2, 3. So range, the option C is the right option. Let's see beta another MCQ. A linear function f of x is equal to ax plus b. This is the linear function. Is an identity function if in this linear function if the value of x is 0, b is 0, a is 0, b is 0. अगर a और b दोनों 0 करें तो ये हमारा linear function identity function हो जाएगा. ऐसा है? बिल्कुल नहीं है. If you put the value of a 0 तो ये हमारा x का term ये भी 0 हो जाता है. But here you can see the value of f of x is equal to x. So here f of x must equal to x. कब होगा? जब a की value 1 होगी और b की value 0 होगी. तो a की value 1, b की value 0 in b option. Now in place of a, here f of in place of a, when you put 1 x and b 0, तो ये हो जाएगा f of x is equal to x. So this is called identity function. So b is the right answer. Now MCQ number 3. Identity function is also injective function, surjective function और bijective function. बेटा आइडेंटिटी फंक्शन जो है वो इंजेक्टिव फंक्शन है, सर्जेक्टिव फंक्शन भी है एंड बाइजेक्टिव फंक्शन भी है. तो यू कैन से ऑल ऑफ दीज बिकॉज अगर यही हम ले फंक्शन और इसके अगर एरो डायग्राम यहाँ ड्रा करें तो ये हमारा आइडेंटिटी फंक्शन होगा फ्रॉम x to x written here. So this is x, it is x. From x to x, this is I for identity function. The element of set x 1, 2, 3, also 1, 2, 3. Now you can see here in this equation the x value giving us y also 1, x1, y1. So the image of 1 is 1. The image of 2 is 2. The image of 3 is 3. So you can see this is injective function, but इसका inverse नहीं होता. Injective function का inverse नहीं होता. It is also surjective function. It is also bijective function. Now beta, let's see type number 2, constant function. Definition क्या कहती है? A function that always returns means output the same value is called a constant function. हम इनपुट x की वैल्यू कोई भी लगाएं, any real number you put, but the output value will be same. That is called constant function. Or in other words, a function c for constant. A function c, constant function from R to R, domain and codomain is a set of real number defined by the equation c of x is equal to c या f of x is equal to c. ये small c जो है belongs to R. C is a constant. You can say यहाँ क्या है c? C is a constant number. बेटा ये c जो है any constant number है, so this is called constant function. The range, you can see the range of constant function is a singleton set. Constant function की range जो होगी वो singleton set, means having one element in it. The graph of constant function is a straight line parallel to x-axis. It is also onto our surjective function. Suppose better now, suppose let we have f of x is equal to 2. Then find f of 1, f of 2, find f of 2, f of 3. तो बेटा अब इसकी वैल्यू चाहिए. हमारे पास ये इक्वेशन है f of x is equal to 2. 2 is constant and c यहाँ constant है, c की वैल्यू यहाँ 2 है. So what will be the value of function at 1, at 2 and at 3? So it means हमें y is equal to f of x is equal to 2. ये हमारे पास है. Now in place of y is equal to f of x जगह 1 रखो तो आंसर 2 आया. Y is equal to f of 2 रखो, in place of x आंसर आया 2. Now y is equal to f of, in place of x बेटा 3 रखो, the answer will be 2. It means at every value of x, different value of x, but image the value of the function remains same, constant, so it is called constant function. If you want to show in the arrow diagram, so there is x and suppose it is y. The function from c is constant function from x to y. The element of set x 1, 2, 3. We take 1, 2, 3. But the element of y is only 2. So the image of 1 is 2, the image of 2 is 2, the image of 3 is 2. So this is called constant function. बेटा ये हमारा constant function हो गया. अब बेटा इस constant function का ग्राफ यहाँ लिखा है. The graph of constant function is a straight line parallel to x-axis. Now let's see. There is the x-axis, origin and y-axis. So x1, x2, x3, and the value of y, it is 1, it is 2. Now the value of x1, y2, x1, y2. So there is the point. x2, y2, x2, y2 also here. x3, y3, this y2, sorry, x3, y2. Beta ye x3, y2. Now you join these R points and extend both sides. दोनों तरफ इसको प्रोड्यूस करो, एक्सटेंड करो, तो you can see there is the straight line. Graph is a straight line but parallel to x-axis. So this is the graph of constant function. And ये आप ऐसे भी लिख सकते हो f of x is equal to 2. So this is the constant function. Now dear students, we have algebraic functions, in which first type of algebraic functions is a linear function. Let's see the definition. A polynomial function of 1 degree is called a linear function. Linear function means first degree function is called a linear function. A function f from R to R. The domain and codomain of linear function is a set of real number. Is defined as f of x is equal to ax plus b. For all x real number, but a and b also real numbers, in which the coefficient of x means a, this is not equal to 0, is called a linear function. In set form, a function which is in order pair of x and y, whereas y is equal to ax plus b. This is called a linear function. And the graph of a linear function is a straight line. So we get a straight line graph of linear function. For example, f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. The value of a here 2, b here 3. And g of x, another function, minus 3x plus 7. So such type of functions are called linear functions, and the graph of linear function, as I told you here, it is straight line. बेटा अब ग्राफ आप ऐसे स्ट्रेट लाइन ड्रा करो. This is the graph of linear function. You can say y is equal to mx plus c, or y is equal to f of x, which is ax plus b, which is written here. So this is called the graph of linear function. Now let's see another quadratic function, means the polynomial function of second degree. Degree 2, a function having second degree, but वो polynomial हो तो उसको हम कहते हैं quadratic function. A function f from R to R is defined as f of x is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. Here a, b, c are real numbers, but the coefficient of square term is not equal to 0. So this is called the quadratic function. Now in set form, f is a function having order pairs x, y, such that y is equal to, y means f of x, which is equal to ax square plus bx plus c. So this function is called a quadratic function. The graph of quadratic function is parabolic upward as well as downward. These are both examples of the quadratic function. F of x is equal to 2x square plus 6x minus 3, and g of x is equal to 3x square minus 2x plus 5, etc., etc. So these all are the examples of a quadratic function. And graph of the quadratic function, if you take in xy plane, so there is the graph of the quadratic function. It is for a parabolic but upward. So this graph, it is y is equal to x square. Now if the square term whose coefficient is positive, then graph will be upward. But the graph of the quadratic function in which the coefficient of x square, it means the value of a is negative, then graph parabola to hoga, but it will be downward. So here this is the graph of the function which is y is equal to minus x square. So this is the graph of the quadratic function. It means here the value of a is the coefficient of x square. Here the value of a is positive, but here the value of a is negative. So बेटा ये हो गया हमारा quadratic function with graph. Now cubic function, a polynomial function of degree 3, third degree polynomial function is called a cubic function. A function f from R to R is defined as f of x is equal to ax cube plus bx square plus cx plus d. A, B, C, D all are real numbers, but the coefficient of cube term x cube का coefficient जो a है वो 0 के बराबर नहीं हो, तो इसको हम कहते हैं cubic function. And the graph of cubic function in this shape, बेटा ये shape है. For example, if you draw the graph of x cube, तो x cube का graph बेटा ऐसे बनेगा. It will pass through origin. Origin से ये graph होगा y is equal to x cube in the Cartesian coordinate plane. So this is the graph of the cubic function. Now last, square root function. Square root मतलब radical वाला. A function f whose domain is non-negative real numbers. It means positive real number plus union a set having zero element. So this is the domain of the square root function. It means its domain is a non-negative real number, but range is real number. Is defined as f of x is equal to radical of x for all x जो यहाँ radicand है, it must be non-negative. It means greater than or equal to 0. This is called a square root function. Now the graph of square root function, when I look at the graph, now here you know that if you put the value of x 0, तो ये y भी 0 होगा, and then at this domain the value of y और इस square root function की जो value होगी वो 0 and then positive integers या positive real number होगी. Positive real number it means इसका ग्राफ मेरा ऐसे जाएगा, ये इसका ग्राफ है, तो ये ग्राफ होगा y is equal to radical of x. Y means f of x. It is the radical of x. This is the graph. But if you move downward like this, बेटा ये इसका ग्राफ होगा y or f of x is equal to minus radical of x. So this is the graph of the square root function. So बेटा ये हो गया हमारा कुछ functions और उसके graph. So I hope you got and आपको lecture पसंद आया होगा. Next time we will come with inverse of a function, even function and odd function. Till then, bye bye, take care.